And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime. Today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough in New York City. Coming up, we'll learn about an organization developing storytelling and business skills through opera. And the support of their artists help build communities and bond. Following that, suicide rates on college campuses has seen a decrease, but the big question is why? We want to take you a report and tell you some very interesting answers. Later on in the show, we'll explore the efforts of an organization dedicated to delivering acclaimed programs, cultivating resilience and dreams among the youth and families of the Bronx. And in light of being Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, we'll shed light on some new protective gear as well as some emerging technologies that are going to enhance riding safety. And then finally, we'll sit down with the hip-hop blogger and influencer about her inspiration for getting into the media industry and empowering some female artists. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on through the past week, and we'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. And we start off with education news. 7 satellite mental health clinics will be coming to the Bronx for the upcoming academic year. Now, these new clinics will offer a range of services, including individual, group, and family therapy, as well as crisis management. New York City Mayor Eric Adams recently announced the plans. Additionally, school staff will receive training from clinic professionals to minimize unnecessary calls to 911 and emergency room visits. Moreover, 34 additional schools in the South Bronx and Brooklyn will establish a system for rapid referrals to New York City Health and Hospitals outpatient mental health clinics. Now, these efforts are part of a broader initiative to support young people struggling with isolation and anxiety exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In other news, senior Bronx residents are protesting budget cuts, demanding improvements to their quality of living. Our BronxNet reporter Brittany Schuyler Albane was at the Bronx Borough Hall. She's got our details.
On Friday morning, the Bronx's senior residents took to the rotunda of Borough Hall to protest budget cuts and demand improvements to their quality of living. Most recently, Mayor Eric Adams announced a budget cut of $7 million to older adult facilities, which would only exacerbate the current challenges that seniors are facing.
At the moment, some of the most pressing issues include lack of AC, heating, less than stellar meals, and even social isolation.
It's a disgrace that in the winter you have no heat. It's a disgrace that the food that we're giving you is not healthy.
In response to this cut, the New York City Council has proposed a budget response that would invest over $50 million into these facilities, of which the Bronx houses 58.
Our budget is a reflection of our blueprint and of our priorities. We cannot say we care about older adults who are our mothers and fathers and grandparents without providing them the sufficient support in a budget.
Aside from repairing physical damage within these centers, Live On New York, a nonprofit working toward improving the living quarters of senior citizens, is asking for $12 million for case management through their social work program, allowing homebound seniors to remain in their homes to reduce social isolation. a damaging epidemic in itself.
So that's a $20 million ask, which is frankly a drop in the bucket for New York City's entire budget.
There are no clear answers at the moment, but budget negotiations will continue until June. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler.
And thank you, Brittany. Of course, we'll keep you updated with more news as it becomes available. In health news now, the Environmental Protection Agency has introduced a new rule aimed at reducing the presence of forever chemicals in our drinking water. Now, these chemicals known as PFAs are commonly found in certain cosmetics, sunscreen, and products treated to be waterproof, non-stick or water resistant, and stain resistant. PFA chemicals do not fully break down and linger in both the environment and the human body. According to researchers, nearly 90% of Americans have traces of these chemicals in their blood, which could potentially result in severe health issues such as cancer, kidney, or liver damage from prolonged exposure. Well, that is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We're taking a quick break, but guess what? We got more open when we return.
Congratulations, BronxNet, on 30 years. You started when I was born. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is Verona, the dancing reporter for Create Your World, and I thank BronxNet for being here to help me produce my show.
30 years of BronxNet, 4 years of Modern Odyssey. Broadcasting stories that may inspire you, untold or underreported stories. BronxNet, your story is heard. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching Modern Odyssey on BronxNet.
And we are back. The International Brazilian Opera Company is a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated to fostering a unique operatic repertoire, blending Brazilian and international artistic influences while nurturing emerging talent through educational initiatives. IBOC proudly presents the newest season of the Camera Music and Storytelling Festival. And we've got now joining us the board president and co-founder of IBOC, Christina Morgan. And Christina, thank you so much.
Hi,
how you doing?
Good.
Exciting time for you.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And so the organization has been around for about 10 years.
That's correct. Exactly 10 years. This is our 10-year anniversary of our official founding.
Right. So 10 years, and did you ever see yourself making it to this point?
It's been an unexpected journey, let's put it that way. But yeah, I thought, we always had reasons to continue, so we did.
For yourself, when you look at the organization as a whole and what it brings to the community, how would you define it?
I would say we work a lot, our specialty is working with immigrant artists, which is sort of an overlooked group in the, broader, scheme of things as far as immigrant services. And we help them a lot with O1 visas so they can stay and work legally in the United States. It's called the Extraordinary Abilities Visa. So I think that's one thing that makes us stand apart. And, also classical music traditionally is very closed, not very diverse. And so we help a lot of like underrepresented artists get their experience and foot in the door. And a lot of them have gone on to, work at major European opera houses. Some people have sang in the Met Chorus. So it's a good, because honestly, like, most of the people who graduate even from places like Juilliard, they don't get placement. So they need places to get experience that's a bridge to a larger career.
So you have this unique way of doing almost like community engagement through the arts. Share with us a little bit about how you're able to do this community engagement as with art as a focal point.
I think just because of the individuals who founded it, we're all community-minded people, very civic-minded people. So that was always going to be a component of it. We didn't like the idea of like the arts being elitist. So we've always had programming whenever we could in local schools. And this, program that we're having this year, the Chimera Festival, that was always in partnership with the West 111th Street Association. So that was a way to engage our neighbors and just become more of a part of the community and visible in the community.
So for people who are going to take part in this festival on May the 18th, great time for you. Obviously, a little Greek mythology in there as well?
Yes, that's correct. A chimera is an ancient Greek mythological figure in which they would put two different creatures together. If you think like the man with the horse and the human, or a lion and a dragon put together, that's a chimera. And so because this is a mix of different types of music and activities, that's where we got the inspiration from.
Yeah. And the artists that will be participating, give us a little background.
Yes, we're always going to have one local artist per show, specifically from Upper Manhattan. And the artist who's opening this year, his name is Jaime. I believe he graduated from Columbia with a degree in music and business, and he's kicking off his world tour, very young, exciting new artist who likens himself to Bruno Mars, except he was born in Hong Kong.
Right.
But he had American and I think Gujarati parents. And then we have one of an IBOC artist, Hugo Sanboni, who's from Bahia, Brazil. And he is working on a project called the Iemanjá Project, which is named after the deity, one of the major deities from Bahia, which is the goddess of the water, very important deity. And he's working on an opera inspired by this deity's story. And he specializes in jazz, and especially Afro-Brazilian jazz, which is, a very unique subset of the larger component, larger world of jazz, I should say. And then we're finishing with a woman named Davinia, who was a Eurovision finalist for her country of Malta. And she sings pop songs.
Storytelling is always a huge component of what you guys do. And it's major, when you have arts. I think for people, having a connection through storytelling really opens them up to a new kind of world. For you, what does storytelling mean?
Storytelling, as we envisioned it, is people who want to just come up onto the stage. Last year was very relaxed, and just talk about something that was meaningful to them, like specifically about the neighborhood. And so it's just anybody that wants to express themselves, verbally in that way. It's not just, you don't have to have like an extraordinary musical talent, but it's just a way for people to get to know their neighbors and get to learn more about who lives with you and what their story is, and something you might not have known about your neighborhood. It's very, very organic.
But there's a power, if you will.
There is.
With storytelling and then also music.
Yeah, there is. So you're telling stories through both. It's a way of communication. It's what makes us human, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So as people participate and have an opportunity to be a part of this festival and they go back home, what is it that you're looking for them to take away from the experience?
I want them to be introduced to some different types of music that they probably haven't heard, because we don't do covers at this performance. It's all originals. And, just that this is something there for the community to participate in. And, everything starts small. Again, this started as an idea. And this year we got funding from the New York City Department of Culture, which is a big step for us, and validation that this is something that is, of use to the outside world. And next thing you know, we'll be Coachella.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's a goal. You never know, and keep pressing, and we'll see where it goes. But the diversity that you have really speaks a lot. You got opera, and then when we talk about opera, Brazilian opera. when people think of Brazil, there are different kinds of music, but opera doesn't always rise to the top. Talk to me about that diversity.
Well, our co-founder and artistic director, he is Brazilian, so that was the inspiration for the name. And one of our founding goals was always to foster collaboration between Brazilian and international artists. And also, when you think of Brazil, it's a very diverse place where there's every ethnicity, so many different types of people, but through putting it together, something new emerged. And so we like to say we're Brazilian in spirit. By combining these different ideas from people who have different backgrounds, a new type of opera can emerge, something that's, different and has a different style and, that can possibly reach different audiences.
Yeah. As this goes year by year, talk to me, reaching year 10, that's a milestone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a milestone year for you. What do you feel was the major moment, if you will, in your 10-year career so far?
There's been a lot of major moments. I mean, I feel like from the time when we officially became a 501c3, that was a big step. It was a big step when one year we toured a cast of Swedish singers for the Seven Seal Opera in Brazil, and we got funding from Volvo in Brazil. It was a big step when we got, recognition from the Boston Opera for a Merit Award for our first opera, Tamanduá, which was the first opera performed in Portuguese in the United States, as far as we know. And this year, getting the funding from the Department of Culture, that was a big step for us too.
So if people want to get up and find out more information, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to chimerafestival.com, or maybe it's easier to remember IBOC.nyc.
Yeah. Well, Christina, I want to thank you so much for being with us and sharing. Christina Morgan, who's also the president and the co-founder of IBOC. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, I want you to know, viewers, if you want more information, yes, again, visit the website iboc.nyc and chimerafestival.com. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this. And welcome back. The JED Foundation is a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated to safeguarding emotional health as well as preventing suicide among our nation's adults. The organization recently unveiled a groundbreaking report shedding light on the mental state of, or I should say the state of mental health on college campuses across America. And here now, sharing more, we've got the Senior Vice President and Chief Design and Impact Officer at the JED Foundation, Dr. Michelle Mullen. And Dr. Mullen, thank you so much for being with us and taking the time to talk about this much needed topic.
Thank you for having me and your interest.
Yeah, I want to start off with a look at some statistics here, which I find are quite glaring and quite problematic. When I look, 12.6 million, or actually that's 1 in 3 people in the United States between the ages of 18 and 25 report having some behavioral or emotional health issue in the last year. That's a lot of people.
A lot of people, and I think that there are real things that we can consider about how we help those folks. And here at the JED Foundation, we're a national nonprofit that seeks to protect the emotional health and suicide of our teens and young adults nationwide.
When we talk about this, I mean, there are Gen Zers out there, and they're looking at a lot of things that they've come into, terrorism, they've come into the COVID pandemic. How much does all of this actually play into the mental and emotional state of our young people?
Yeah, young folks are managing many of the things that we managed as the older generation. So, when we think about college students, like what are the competing demands of, your academics and making friends and developing your identity and your independence. But young people also have a tremendous amount of new pressures too, like social media and the pressure to be like what they see and increased competition and things related to mass shootings and financial pressure. So, what we know about young people is that they have the existing pressures, but also really new pressures. And I think one of the most amazing things that are coming out of this report is that this group is an incredibly resilient bunch of young folks, and that there are real things that we can do to change mental health on campus and to make things better.
So there was a study done, and there's some data that's actually coming out. Talk to us about what are the statistics showing us right now?
Yeah, so our JED Campus Impact Report is a culmination of 10 years of work that we've done nationwide with universities and colleges, and represents more than 100,000 student voices. And so our JED Campus program is a 4-year program that partners with schools and universities to be able to guide a collaborative process of identifying programs, policies, systems, campus culture to enhance mental health and prevent suicide. So in this report, we saw real improvement across the board. So not only did we see improvements in depression and anxiety, we also saw that students were more aware of mental health resources. We saw a real reduction in suicide ideations, a 13% reduction in suicide planning, and a 25% reduction in suicide attempts, which is really robust for this type of intervention.
And when we talk about these numbers decreasing, that is good news. I mean, that's great news that we're able to see this, and I think all of us can really breathe a sigh of relief to a certain extent. But knowing that these numbers are taking a decrease, what can we attribute them to?
So we contribute these positive results to the implementation of a comprehensive approach on college campuses. So a comprehensive approach is really campus-wide. So when you think about mental health, many people would think about counseling services only, but a comprehensive approach really focuses on what are the other elements in addition to ensuring that people can get access to care of helping support students in campuses, like developing life skills, like conflict management, managing relationships, identifying students at risk. This is not just for counseling services, but for RAs and faculty and staff. So when a student doesn't look like themselves, how do you get them to the place where they need to be? Increased help seeking. So, there's like these campaigns and fairs that campuses do now. They bring out dogs so people come, or they bring food so, the students show up. But it's an effort to get them to know what resources are on campus, to find people that look like them, to get connected. So by implementing a campus-wide approach, this comprehensive approach, there are real things that campuses can do that benefit students. So when they belong and when they feel connected, they're more likely to stay, they have better outcomes. And so as a result of the JED campus, we're seeing some of these improvements.
You're talking about the improvements that college campuses are making, but what more specifically have you been able to see where college campuses are embracing this in the way that numbers are actually taking that decrease?
So that's a really good question. And, I've been doing research on college mental health for the last 2 decades. And when I would reach out to colleges and universities like 2 decades ago and say like, oh, are you interested in participating in a trial or research on mental health on campus? They say, we don't have mental health issues on campus. And today there is not one university or campus person that would say that same statement. Like colleges are acutely aware that there are real needs on campus. And because people are aware and the conversations are now able to be different, there's increased collaboration, there's problem solving. Campuses and colleges are really, really interested in protecting their students. They are invested in it. And for a long time, there was stigma or about people talking about mental health. And so now we also are seeing that change because our students are changing. They're more willing to talk about mental health. They're more willing to talk about their struggles. So by implementing a comprehensive approach, we're really seeing that college campuses are changing and are able to promote and support college students better.
I think it's exciting to know that these numbers are going down. For a long time, we really would, shake our heads and wonder what could be done when we hear of, suicides or suicidal ideations in the lives of our young people, understanding that, sometimes their mental capacity is being challenged simply by what they're seeing in life and not being able to really navigate that. There are still those that are out there that are dealing suicidal ideations, depression, emotional instability. Where do they go? What do they do if they're on a college campus or around? And it seems as though they don't have that tie-in.
Yeah. So the JED recommends that young adults reach out for help. So you're not alone. Lots of people are struggling, but lots of people want to help. So reach out to a professional, to a friend, to a trusted adult, a family member. JED recommends for young people, if they need help, to reach out and use the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. We also recommend the crisis text line at 741-741. But there are services out there that want to help.
So for somebody who wants to get a hold of maybe the study and find out some more information with regards to that and or, finding out information with regards to services, where do they go?
So the jedfoundation.org is our website, and I encourage folks to go check out our resources. The JED Campus Impact Report is right on our landing page, so easy to access. Find out what we're saying in that report, what's happening on campus, what are some of our recommendations. And we have tons of other resources on our website related to how you can help a friend. So it's for students, for loved ones, parents, colleges, and universities. So the jedfoundation.org is a great place to go for additional resources.
Dr. Michelle, I could keep you here for a long time, but I got to keep moving. But I want to ask you this before we go. If there are some recommendations that are out there, we know that if there are recommendations that are out there, give me a couple of them real quick as to what you've seen and what you're recommending.
So JED is very clear for colleges and universities. Don't wait. Prevention is key. Implementing a comprehensive approach saves lives. So one of the things to consider is it's not a counseling problem alone, that it is a campus-wide issue. So don't wait for something to happen on campus.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We have Dr. Michelle Mullen, who's been sharing with us a little bit about what's going on college campuses. We're glad to know those numbers are really going down, but the reality is 1 in 3 on college campuses deal with emotional issues, suicidal ideations, things of that nature. And thank you for JED for really spinning a light on this, because much needed, and we can bring you back for another conversation. Thanks a lot.
Would love that. Thank you for having me.
All righty. Well, listen, if you want more information, visit the website, jedfoundation.org. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll have more open coming up right after this.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kat from the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, also from The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray every week right here at BronxNet, Saturdays at 11 p.m. Wow, 30 years. 30 years of BronxNet public access television. I'm a girl from Brooklyn and came to the Bronx 25 years ago, started my journey on BronxNet on public access television in 2016, and BronxNet is where I got my start. BronxNet, I feel like, is a home away from home. They support all of my endeavors, and I wouldn't have been able to be on any of the other channels if it wasn't for the fundamentals that I learned right here at my start here at BronxNet. So I am so appreciative. My son says I should stop telling people I'm from Brooklyn because I've been here now, Bronx Strong, for 22 years. So I'm so grateful, and I wish you much success in 30 years, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30 more, because public access is necessary so that people like myself can have a voice. Yes, BronxNet, it's your girl Kat from Kitty Rose. Check me out every Saturday at 11 p.m. right here, Channel 68, The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. Mwah.
And we are back. Our next guest joined New Settlement as the Director of Development and Communications in April of 2022, bringing a wealth of experience and passion to the table. Now, with a background in frontline fundraising and a knack for strategic planning, she's been instrumental in spearheading initiatives aimed at empowering marginalized communities. And join me now, we've got New Settlement's Leigh Reid. And Leigh, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Spending some time in an organization where really we deal with marginalized communities, and the challenges still remain. I think we were talking in the last segment about, really how young people are really dealing with a lot on this, socio-economical front. Mm-hmm. For yourself, your experience at New Settlement, tell me about what you're seeing in the community.
So what I'm seeing is that, New Settlement is in an area of the Bronx that is historically disinvested, right? So when you pull resources for generations out of the community, it's not surprising that, one check, one time won't solve the issue. And of course, coming out of COVID, we're seeing we really have to bring youth back into in-person programs, and we have to remind them that there is a community there for them. And luckily for us, the devoted staff we have running, let's say our program for girls or young men's programs, we have youth coming in and they are being reminded that they have mentors, they have resources, they have a connection to, let's say, post-secondary pathways like college or workforce opportunities. So just knowing that they're not alone has been really helpful in growing our numbers, I think, because they see that they have a place again. Yeah,
we talked about these societal shifts that have happened, right? You've got COVID, you've got, things that are happening, right there in the community that sometimes people, take a blind eye to. Reality is when you're working on the front lines, you get to see these things front and center and develop programming to try to meet those needs. So let's talk a little bit about the program that you have in place to really be able to meet some of the needs of our young men and women.
Yeah, I can give you a very timely one, for example. Our area of the Bronx, actually right down Mount Eden Avenue, we've had 2 gun deaths in the last 6 weeks, I believe it is, which is horrible, and it's also not surprising. And for all of us, it's sad, right? So our community center, it's this big, beautiful building on Jerome Avenue and 172nd. We're gonna have a community town hall there in tandem with the Bronx Borough President to talk to community members and to find out what our elected officials can do to help mitigate this. Like, why is this happening and what can we as a community come together and do? So that's one of the more timely opportunities that we're having. But on the day-to-day, we also have a food pantry, and that provides food to more than 1,000 households each month. 1,000 individuals each month. There's more than that in a household.
Right.
To alleviate some of those basic needs, right? Because if you don't have your basic needs met, you can't really think about putting your child in a swim class, right? You can't really think about going off to college. Those aren't, you got to survive first. So we're trying to meet those needs as well.
You talk about basic needs being met, but you also give basic needs when we talk about workforce development, right? I think helping people to be established for a changing working environment. I think so many times we've been seeing people who are used to manufacturing jobs, blue-collar jobs, but we know STEM is out there right now, and that's the order of the day. And talk to us about how we're developing people for tomorrow. Actually, not even tomorrow, today.
Yeah, so our after-school program is a great example of that. We have multiple after-school programs, and when you bring in, when you provide STEM activities or different, let's say, computer design activities for them, even if it's just like a little introduction throughout the whole year, that just broadens their mind of what's possible. All right, and so you have, I believe it's 1,500 youth in our after-school programs who are getting this opportunity and seeing the same thing that, children in other parts of New York City where there is more affluence are also getting that. Yeah. So hopefully bringing them that opportunity in.
So from your perspective, getting the word out at New Settlements here, we've got these great programs, stuff like that. How do you think you're doing in terms of reaching the community?
I think we have, I'll be honest, I think we have some work to do there. New Settlement, at this point, we've just been there for 35 years. Our birthday was actually this Sunday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But, just like early middle age, for many of us, you start to just become background noise. People don't notice you as much. And I think The area that we're working actively on is how do we meet the needs of the community? How do we share that we're still here and we're at, reaching you where you want to be, where you want to go. So I'm working.
Yeah. Well, I know that you joined in 2022, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about COVID, because obviously you still feel the impact, right?
Oh, yeah.
What have you? Because people always talk about the people, but organizations that actually feel the impact. And when you're doing community service, there's got to be some residual impact that you're feeling as a result of COVID.
Oh yes, it's definitely harder to get donors to visit. It's definitely harder to get funders to come and visit. Everything can be done on Zoom, and there's a distance there.
Yeah.
A difference when you can walk in the door and see the programs in action. I do less talking, and the kids can just, not just kids, but of course the program participants can really show you what their programs, the impact of their programs on them. And I think seeing that COVID isn't over for us is also another thing that's important. Everybody's tired of it, want to move past it, that's great. But the reality is we're still dealing with food insecurity. And that's just exacerbated, right? It was happening before COVID, and now it's exacerbated. Getting people into the programs and just seeing the work we're doing, but also the direct impact and what the community is bringing to us.
Right.
Because we do, we put up the walls and offer the opportunity, but they really show up.
You talked about food insecurity. I need to touch on that too, because that's huge, right?
Yeah.
And I think we saw that really in COVID. So many people really dealing. The lines were long. Yeah. The services were few for some, but the needs still exist even after which. How are you able to, meet those needs? Because they're coming to your door between the children who are hungry and then the parents who are looking to put something on the table.
Yeah, so we have a food pantry that we offer once a week, and we've expanded that to have clothing donations as well, so folks can do a clothing swap. And then we also have these bigger monthly pantry pop-ups where it's anywhere from roughly 250 to 500 people come, and we give away fresh produce as well as pantry staples, which vary throughout the year. And we also try to, we have open streets now at the community center. There's New Settlement, the overall organization, but the community center hosts the rooftop garden and the food pantry. Yeah. And they have created some open streets events. And the next one coming up is Mother's Day weekend, I believe, which I'm going to be in trouble here. I think it's May 12th. We'll see, the Saturday.
Right.
And the open streets idea there is it brings the community in. Of course, we're allowed to be outside and kind of take back the street from the cars. But then it also kind of removes some of the stigma attached to that food insecurity or clothing insecurity, where you might feel insecure about this, but now there's also like events happening and services being provided, and you see it's not just you. Right. Which we hate that we have that captive audience, right? We don't want to have a food pantry. If the need went away, that would be ideal, but it's not going away.
Yeah, it's not going away anytime soon. I think food and housing, New York City, is going to have to be dealt with. Homelessness, and organizations such as yours who really are at the front lines really dealing with it. Glad to have you come and be able to share a little bit so that way people know about the resources that are available. So thank you, Leigh, for coming and being with us.
Thank you, Daren.
All righty. Now, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at newsettlement.org, and then also visit their social media at New Settlement NY. Encouraging you to don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. As the weather warms up, motorcycles become increasingly popular modes of transportation. We've got joining us now talking about Airbag Save, a national safety campaign aimed at raising awareness about innovative solutions in motorcycle safety, as well as sharing tips for safer riding experiences. We've got the president at Cycle Gear, Stevan Popovich. And Stevan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me today.
It's a lot of things, but it's actually also Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, and it's a pleasure to have you. I'm a Cycle Gear customer, by the way. I want to let you know. Talk to us a little.
Nice.
Yes. So listen, I want to talk to you about this here, safety awareness, and let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's go.
So when we talk about safety awareness, I really want to get an opportunity to hear from you. What is it that you want riders and people to know, particularly in this season as the weather begins to warm up? We're getting excited about getting our bikes and hitting the road.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at Cycle Gear, we love to say three things for sure. You know, be present, be ready to ride, be in the right state of mind. 2, follow the rules of the road. I spent plenty of time in the Upper West Side of Manhattan making sure that I kept myself safe and clear. People following the roads, they can be distracted drivers at sometimes. Then for sure, wear protective gear. I think making sure that you're covered from head to toe and taking the risk out where you can is important for all the riding community.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the new national safety campaign that you have, and that's called Airbag Save. And for people who may not be so familiar with it, what is Airbag Save about?
Sure, it's a multi-year campaign around airbag technology. So what we really wanted to do was make public awareness around this technology. For the past 20 years, it's been in varying stages of development. Over the last 10, it's really progressed. It's used at the highest level of motorcycle racing. Riders that were once, far worse off at a high-speed crash, 150, 200 miles an hour, are now walking away. So for us, it's really to let people know. I think the advancements in technology in all sports has changed over the years. And for us, we really wanted to get this out there, not only for the riders that might not be aware, but for the families and loved ones to promote it as well.
You know, we hear about cars with airbags. Somebody watching right now says a motorcycle with an airbag. How does that work with motorcycles and airbags?
Yeah, you can see one to my right. It's a vest. It's something that the rider wears. I think it's really important to know it's not a contraption on the motorcycle, so it's a very unobtrusive piece of gear, similar to wearing a helmet, similar to wearing a helmet on a bicycle. Once you wear it for a couple of minutes, you forget that it's there. 2, it protects the entire torso, so front and back, reducing impacts up to 93%. There's a couple different options out there. There's a tethered version, which if you were to exit the motorcycle, would pull like a ripcord and deploy. The second is powered by a computer algorithm that's continually monitoring the rider about 1,000 times a second. Deploys in 23 milliseconds. It has predictive technology in it. In the event that an accident probably is going to go off before the rider's even aware that they're in danger.
Yeah. So somebody's saying something's worn under the jacket.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's worn under the jacket. It could be worn under the vest. It could be worn under a riding shirt to make your ride safe when you're cruising up there to Bear Mountain on a nice Saturday morning.
Yeah. So I want to talk about those who are watching cycle riders, because there's a certain amount of apprehension when you've got family members out there. They're concerned about, oh my God, my loved one's on a bike. We know about bicycle accidents. We know that these things happen. For a family member that might be watching right now, how do we ease that burden for them?
Well, I mean, in some of the surveys we've done, it's clear that people are worried. Loved ones are worried. My wife's a medical professional. I'm worried about my kid driving a car. But I think what we found is when we start to educate the consumer on the level of technology that increases safety to the degree that it can today, the worry, the risk is mitigated to a degree I think people aren't aware of. So part of this is to educate the consumer, the families, the friends that, there is inherent risk in a lot of things that we do, but with this technology, we can greatly reduce the risk and impact of injuries in the event of a crash.
Yeah. Stevan, I want to take a moment for our viewers and somebody out there may be watching and saying, listen, when it comes to cycle gear, honestly, what are the things that people should be wearing as they're on their bicycle so that way they can maximize the best possible safety for their ride?
Sure. So I think everything from head to toe. We think everyone, when they get on a motorcycle, part of this campaign is not just about airbags and airbags, how they can, reduce risk, but at the same time, helmets, jackets, pants, gloves, and boots, all the things that are, available to the rider today are designed to withstand impact, designed to have abrasion resistant. We love to say prepare for the slide, not just the ride, just in case something does happen. So we like to have people covered, all the gear all the time when you get on a motorcycle.
We hear a lot of, I've been through this before where we have this question about design and helmet design. A lot of people are looking for a specific design when it comes to the helmet. But beside from design, there's also that safety component. What should a person be looking for other than a really cool design for a helmet? Because there's a lot of great cool design helmets, but they're really not safe.
Well, that is a fact. I think making sure that the product is bought from a retailer that actually has appropriate technology, the right certifications. Now, it is motorcycling. I love a cool graphic on a helmet, but the thing that I think a lot of people overlook is fit. You want to make sure that the product fits you right. That goes for jackets, pants, boots, and gloves, but helmets in particular. You can get a cool graphic that's safe. Helmets range from $150, $200 all the way up to $1,500 to $3,000. But going in to make sure that you have the proper fit, making sure that you have the right level of DOT certification and/or racing certification if you're out there on a racetrack.
Yeah. And as time has progressed down through the years, obviously you have to say a lot of progression has been made in the area of motorcycle safety, where there are a lot more resources out there. There's a lot more product out there to be able to help that rider to have a more comfortable experience in the event of emergency.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the technology is incredible. I mean, if you go buy a standard pair of jeans or jacket, denim jacket at the regular store, they're not designed to withstand the level of impact or abrasion that the technology that's in our products and the products that we sell have embedded in them. So Kevlar reinforcement, extra stitching, knee and elbow protection to reduce impacted joints. It's really changed, and it's comfortable. It's not like, putting on a cardboard box. It's really comfortable product, and the level of textile technology has really blown up the past 15 years to keep the rider safe, cool, and comfortable. We don't think there's any reason we can't find something for every rider out there.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that surprised you about, this new technology? I mean, the airbag for me is pretty huge and pretty major.
Sure. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I would say a decade ago, I got to try on one of the first tethered options with a company out of Europe, and it was really impressive. And I wore it around the city. I was in Paris visiting a manufacturer and wore it around the city, forgot I even had it on, had it tested and deployed. And again, as you can see, the one to my right, it's really unobtrusive. I mean, it's similar to putting on a pair of pants or a regular jacket. You don't realize it's there. It's just that extra level of safety, knowing that in the event that you do have this thing, obviously the hope is that you never have to use it. But the peace of mind of, knowing you have a good helmet on, knowing you have this extra layer of barrier of protection, I think is really exciting for the industry and exciting for the riding community.
Yeah. Final words before we go. What do you want people to know?
Yeah, come and check us out. We'd love to see you. We want people to see it in action. You go to cyclegear.com/airbags. We have 165 locations around the country. We have some in New York and North Jersey. We have a lot of gear experts and pros trained to educate you on it, try it on, and learn a little bit more about it.
All right. Well, Stevan, it's been great talking to you, and it's good to meet you in person. Thank you for taking the time and sharing with us as we talk about Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. Glad to have you here with us, Stevan Popovich, who is the president at Cycle Gear.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, now for more information, visit the website at cyclegear.com/airbags. Don't go anywhere. We got more coming up right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
I remember when the Bronx did not really have a media outlet properly representing the people of the Bronx.
BronxNet provides for the community by being a community where people can be empowered to share their voices.
We are in a really great place technologically. We've got all the resources that we need to be effective.
Whether it's through cameras, storytelling, editing, we have provided those services for 30 years.
BronxNet's mission is to be a voice for the community.
To educate, to inform, and to inspire.
And you can be a part of it. We've built studios for you.
And we are back. Our next guest has carved her niche in the world of hip-hop, blending a passion for music with savvy branding strategies. She's also wrote 2 books serving as a guide for aspiring female entrepreneurs and providing artists with some essential tools for networking and elevating their careers. Joining us today, influencer and brand strategist Stephanie Nicole. And Stephanie, good to have you with us, and thank you for being with us.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. So you got a name called Lilmisschitchat. Let me talk a little bit about that and what's behind the name there.
So the name is Lilmisschitchat. As you can see, my name's Stephanie Nicole. It's like a regular name, a basic name that everyone would have. So pretty much I wanted to come up with a name that people would remember when I went into the room and stuff like that. So I sat my little brothers and sisters down. I'm like, we need to come up with a name for my brand. Could you guys help me? And we just came up with, we put words together and we came up with Lilmisschitchat.
And I know that you do a great job of trying to promote female artists and also really speaking into the lives of females. Talk to me about what got you behind that.
To be honest, I've always been super big on women empowerment and stuff. I was a Girl Scout my whole life. My mom actually still works for Girl Scouts outreach, and she works with over 400 girls. So I feel like it's just something definitely that was a part of my life, always supporting girls and women empowerment and just being a girl's girl, you know?
Yeah. And so you talk about being a girl's girl. When you talk about supporting female artists, what is it that you feel like you want them to be able to know?
I just want them to be able to know that anything is possible. Hip hop is kind of a male-dominated industry, and sometimes it's hard being a woman trying to navigate through male-dominated industries. But I just want them to know that it's always possible. Just stay focused. We're just as strong as men. We are just as smart as men. We are just as creative as men, and we can make it happen too.
And for yourself, in addition to doing all of this, you've also got a radio show, and congratulations on that. Talk to us about the radio show.
Yes, I have a radio show called Chit Chat Radio on Party 101.9 every Sunday from 7 to 9. Yeah, it's super, super dope. I just talk about what's going on in the media and hip hop. I put everybody on to new female artists that they don't know. And yeah, just promoting female artists, promoting all artists from all over, and just, breaking artists. Actually, that's really my goal, is to really break some artists, because I feel like a lot of people don't really, I don't want to say this wrong. A lot of people they don't look for new talent. So I like to be the person to first put people onto new talent. A lot of artists that I've said were going to be big a couple of years ago, they are now super big, like the Lola Brooks, the Connie Diamonds, the Billy B's. I projected that those people would blow up. So I'm super, super happy to see that,
Yeah. And for yourself, having a radio show, promoting female artists, this opportunity for yourself to really, kind of pivot, if you will, into a new direction. What's this direction that you're moving into with both career and also, with the show?
So pretty much, I'm actually about to open up a content studio called The Chat Room, because I have a website called The Chat Room where it's like a media platform. We specialize in hip hop and female rap, but I'm about to open up a content studio where we can have everybody come in and, you know, take pictures, do their videos, YouTube videos, so everybody has a home to create, you know?
Yeah. So you talk about starting an online business. You got an ebook out there also, and the ebook helps people to start that online business. Give me a little bit about it.
So pretty much it's just a small guide of like steps to take to start an online business so you can make money, because a lot of people, they see all these influencers online and it's like, you can do it too. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? Anybody can make money online.
Right.
And who doesn't want passive income?
I don't think anybody's going to give you a complaint there about wanting passive income. Now, getting passive income, I think everybody's gonna be like, yes, surely we can do that. So for yourself, doing it online, helping people to get online, how hard is it for the online platform?
I mean, it all depends, because like now we're in a day and age where like everybody's super nosy. So it's like, if you're not someone who like is super comfortable like showcasing your lifestyle and what you got going on, it may be a little difficult to build yourself up. But if you're someone that loves the internet, you're like always out there doing stuff, you always posting what you eating for dinner and stuff, it's like you might as well make money off of your platform.
So you're saying if you're out there, you might as well just go ahead and be out there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's worthwhile advice. So for somebody out there that's watching and saying, listen, I want to do what she does. I like what she does. I can see myself doing that. How do you encourage them, and what do you tell them?
I mean, I personally tell everybody to study the greats. If I was someone else, I would say study Chit Chat, study Oprah. Like I studied Ricky Lake, I studied Jenny Jones, I studied Karen Civil, I studied Angela Yee, I studied Angie Martinez, I studied Miss Info. You know what I mean? I studied all these people. So I feel like the biggest thing that people need to do is really like do their research and study their lane so that they can perfect their craft.
And with all the studying that you've done, what's your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is to be yourself, to be honest. To just be yourself. Like, don't try to fit into nobody else's lane. Don't try to be like nobody else. Just be yourself and be authentic, because authenticity always oversees everything.
Yeah. Well, it's been great. It's been great having you on. I want to thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was definitely great talking to you.
Yeah, good talking to you as well. I want to let you know that if you want to find out more, all you got to do is visit our website at chatroom.tv. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch Recablecast on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can, of course, catch a brand new episode of Open with Rena Valentine on Friday. This about wraps it up for this episode. I am Daren Jaime. Tell you, listen, make sure you keep this channel wide open. Want to say take care and God bless.